Well, welcome back, guys. It is Uncle Skinny. And as promised, we have this double feature this week. Fan recommendation movie review coming from our good friend Jeff Bayron, aka the Bag Masterson, who said, hey man, you gotta check out Gandahar, Light Years. So I did, and we're gonna talk about that movie. It's gonna be a lot of fun doing it too. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Before we get into that, I would like to say that I got a couple letters people wrote to me concerning yesterday's video, and they said that they were disgusted with how I looked, how my face looked, and it really made them sick to their stomachs, and they found it really hard to finish the video. And that really bums me out. I think it's always shitty to hear something like that, even if you didn't have a infection caused by a severe sunburn that basically made your face rot off your head, your scalp, face. So it's always a bummer to hear something like that, and I hate if that my fans are so off-put by something like that. So I decided to take it upon myself and kind of recreate some of that hair I had on my face, make myself back to my handsome state that I was in, and I kind of just drew, you can see some eyebrows and some of that beard that I had. It was easy, just took a Sharpie, and I'm sure that it'll come right off if I want to, but I think I look pretty good. I think I did a pretty good job with that as well. So I hope that you can watch this video and love it, and I encourage you to maybe watch yesterday's video and maybe just don't look at it. Just listen to it. It should be an interesting experience. So with that being said, let's talk about Gandahar, Light Years. 1988 film directed by Renée Lelio, who I do believe is a French woman. That being said, I am not too, it could be a man, it could be a French man. You never know with these French names. But it was directed by Renée Lelio, that's for certain. And it tells the story of a magical planet named Gandahar, which the citizens of Gandahar are these humanoid alien creatures, and they live in peace and harmony and bliss with the organic nature and creatures around them, and everything's just a beautiful thing until they see these soldiers, black metal soldiers, that are turning the citizens of Gandahar into stone, and they send the Prince Sylvain to investigate. And on his way, he meets up with these mutants, which are the result of a genetic experiment gone wrong, but they aid him in discovering the truth behind these metal soldiers. And they come to find that it's this a thing. It's basically almost an expanding brain, and it's called metamorphosis, and it seeks to destroy Gandahar. And so Sylvain's got to stop him. Gandahar, the Light Years. Where to begin? Well, let's give this movie some context. Some things I found out in watching Gandahar is that it features the vocal talents of some pretty big actors and actresses. We're talking about Glenn Close, Christopher Plummer, and even the magician Penn Jillette, which you'd never known. He plays one of the mutants, but it is him. I looked it up on IMDb, and it is the magician Penn Jillette adding his magic to the screen. Although you don't see him, it's just his voice, because it is an animated movie. So, not only that, but it turns out that the legendary sci-fi author and ideologist Isaac Asimov had a massive hand in the production of this film, and he adapted it for the screen, and so on and so forth. And it really has to do with a lot of his ideas of the mind, time, conceptions of the time and mind, and misconceptions of those things. Suffice to say, Gandahar is a pretty incomprehensible movie. I didn't understand a second of it. I had to read it. I had to read the plot online afterwards because I understood nothing. And I watched it. I paid attention. I watched the whole thing, and just the existential themes here of the mind and the time are very heavy and laid on very thick, and they're all very complex and complicated. Gandahar is an intensely psychedelic movie, something comparable to, say, Fantastic Planet, where you're looking at these alien creatures and these alien environments interacting, and it is just a trip. It is super crazy, super trippy to watch. Never mind the ripping 80s soundtrack. But that being said, those things are a lot of fun to watch. It is a super fun experience. It's a trip. I enjoyed the whole thing, even though I understood none of it. It's a perfect kind of movie for like a movie night with friends. You can put it on, and it's just entertaining. It is just entertaining and something crazy to watch. We got to talk about the quality of Gandahar. And the fact is I was a little disappointed that it's a little lackluster in quality and of sound design. There's way better animated films that came out in 1988 and even before 1988. We can even talk about one of my favorite filmmakers who exclusively does animated movies, Ralph Bakshi, who's responsible for some of my favorite movies of all time. We're talking about Heavy Traffic, American Pop, Fritz the Cat, which are all just incredible movies in my opinion. Not only that, but he's the one responsible for those old animated series of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings you may have seen as a kid, and other sci-fi classics like Fire and Ice, and Wizards. All Ralph Bakshi. And I think all of those movies, some of these even came out 10, some 15 years before Gandahar came out in 1988. I think they are of way better quality in terms of animation, sound design, and production. So I will have to docket a couple points for that, especially when, again, plenty of great animated movies have come out even decades before Gandahar. That being said, it is a treat. It is certainly something for the senses. Thanks, Jeff. I had a lot of fun watching it. I didn't understand it, and so I want to give Gandahar maybe like a 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. And that's only because I understood not a single second of this movie. But it was certainly really fun to watch. And I want to thank you, Jeff, for that film recommendation. Please continue to send me recommendations, and I'll do the special double feature each week of your fan recommendation. This one goes out to Jeff, and this one was Gandahar Light Years. I gave it a 6 out of 10. But don't sleep on this one. I watched it on YouTube. You can watch the whole thing for free. You can even watch it in HD, even though that seems almost kind of like a contrary move to make if you're watching an animated movie from 1988. And in closing, I'd also like to add that animated movies should never be looked over. And I think there are plenty of examples of some really great adult animated movies that tell a real story and have a lot of heart to them. I talked about the films of Ralph Bakshi, and I urge everybody to see some of those. They're great. But then you have also movies like Watership Down, which is obviously a classic, and certainly not for kids. Or at least I would never let my child watch it if they were a child. Maybe when they were 21, once they're 21, I would allow them to watch Watership Down, because it is mildly disturbing in nature. So that's it for this week. 6 out of 10 for Gandahar. And this was this week's special double feature. Uncle Skinny double feature. And I'm going to do that now when I do one of those. And that's a double take.